All right, I'm standing here in front of the newly designed TM-1P. I'm with Bob Draper. He's the manager of both the vertical and the horizontal machining groups here at Haas. And we're going to take you on a little tour of the TM1, the TM2, and our brand new TM-0. So let's start with a little history. So it's been 20 years since the Toolroom Mill was originally designed.
Yeah, that's right, Brian. So going back before that, we'd come out with the mini mill, and the mini mill in '99 was a huge success. We sold like 1,000 in like 8 months or something. And the idea behind the mini mill was a small, simple, inexpensive machine.
Right.
And so once it came out and was so successful, Gene said, well, I think we can do even better, even simpler. And so that's where we started Toolroom Mill.
Okay, so mini mill was successful, low cost, kind of an entry-level machine, but then we wanted to go one step even more towards the entry level. And the idea was people that are used to running manual knee mills, that's who this machine appealed to, right? Right,
that was the thought. So how do we get the cost down? Well, the coolant system's an option, the tool changer's an option, and then we changed out how we construct it. Is a lot different, we can see that later.
Okay.
But the idea was we wanted to make a machine that looked like a knee mill, had hand wheels, sort of a transition from a knee mill to a CNC. We even had a little card we put on the control. It's kind of like an IKEA thing, you know, turn the machine on, here's how to zero return.
Little step-by-step instructions.
Right. So that was the thought. Didn't last that way, but that was the initial idea.
Yeah, and the first Toolroom mills, they had no enclosure on them.
No enclosure, a little guard on the table.
Yep.
Again, now you could never reach hand wheels if you had them.
Right.
But you know, once you have a jog handle, we found that people didn't really use the hand wheels.
Yeah, that's why we went away from the hand wheels entirely. But it was a good idea as a transition for somebody who's used to manual machining.
That was the idea. I'm not sure it really worked that way. Okay. But maybe you could tell me.
But that was the thought?
Yeah, that was the idea.
Okay. Yeah. So 20 years, and there's a good reason why we refreshed it. Not just because it's been 20 years, but it was one of the more difficult things to manufacture in the factory.
Yeah, so we'll talk about it. The combination base column, we call it the bottom.
Right.
It's probably one of the hardest parts we have to make. It takes, I don't have the latest numbers, but it's several hours to make it. It's 2 ops. It was designed to be in the BMC 1000 we have over there. It's still made in the same machine 20 years later. It barely fits. We designed it to fit in there and swing. It takes long tools. The motor mounts are integrated, very hard to make. So we, after the machine shop begging for years, we made it 2-piece like every other machine.
Yeah, but there was a good reason that the base and the column were 1-piece and the motor mounts were all integrated.
Well, the idea 20 years ago was labor.
Yep.
So I don't remember the exact numbers, but say if a mini mill took 26 man-hours, we wanted to do the Toolroom Mill in 9.
Okay.
And so if you don't have to bolt 2 parts together, that's time. If you don't have to install motor mounts, that's time. And so we did a lot of things that way. We were labor focused 20 years ago, and everything's different now.
Yeah, we're much more efficient in assembly now.
More efficient in every way, especially at machining parts.
Yep.
So.
Okay, well, let's head over and take a look at it because that really tells the story.
Okay.
Okay, so now we're over here in the cast assembly area of the current, about to be old Toolroom Mill.
Right.
And this is the base column or column that you were talking about.
Right.
So explain why it's so difficult to machine. I think it's pretty obvious.
Yeah, it's obvious. You can see one op is on its back, one op is on its side. When it's on its side, it wants to sag. These are the linear guide surfaces, which we want perfect. You have to do them from the back side. And then this motor mount, particularly here's the integrated Z motor mount, but the Y is very hard to reach. The motor mount has to be perfect or the machine's no good. So it's 2 ops, very slow.
Yep, no wonder it takes 6 or 7 hours.
Right. So now, like every other machine, we bolt on the motor mounts, and our newest motor mount we make in minutes. So this takes much longer just to machine.
And the other thing you did was you paid attention to some of the weight.
Right. So 20 years ago, we didn't have any analysis tools, and we know a lot more about how to make things, how to cast things, where weight's important, where it isn't. And so we took the machine as a baseline, we analyzed it, and we made sure that we matched or exceeded what it does from an FEA and vibration point of view.
Right, so rigidity and vibration and all of that is at least as good, if not better.
That's right, but at the same time, You know, cast iron's gone up 60% this year.
Especially
Steel's
this
gone
year.
up 100%.
Yep.
Enclosure steel. So it's important to keep the machine at the same price, which means we need to cut some cost out.
Yeah.
And with what we know, we can do it with really no effect. So on the new machine, we've lightened this area some, we strengthened it, it's got a better shape. The base portion has kind of a cutout. The base is lower, and we accomplished that by making the saddle more compact and taller.
Okay.
So the machine table's the same spot, same size and all that. But this is 1,500 pounds, and we cut out 300 to 400 pounds just on these two parts.
Oh, wow.
Without sacrificing anything.
Okay,
So we can
and
keep the cost down.
Part of your design criteria was we wanted to keep the cost down, and we'll look at it in a little bit. The TM-0 is actually lower cost
Right.
than our current TM-1.
Right.
Okay.
So
Well,
and
let's,
every part on the new machine is different. Every single part. There's
nothing's the same?
Nothing's the same.
Literally not one
Everything
part.
we've improved how we make it, simplified it, etc. So,
Okay. So let's head over to the TM2. We'll look at some of the features, some of the things that are new about it, and we'll talk about the TM2 and the TM-0.
Okay.
Let's head over there. Okay, we're in front of the TM2P, and I should point out, I kind of skipped talking about it, the P stands for production, I think. That's what
Yeah.
I've always been told.
That's what I remember.
Yeah, but if there's no P on the model number, that means you get a lesser RPM spindle and no tool changer.
That's correct.
So,
So slower rapids too.
and slower rapid. So 4,000 RPM spindle, no tool changer. When you jump up to the P model, faster rapids, 6,000 RPM spindle,
Right.
and a 10 pocket tool changer.
Right.
Okay. The other thing that's different is we used to have a TM1, 2, and 3, and now we don't have the TM3 anymore. We got a TM0, and I never remember these numbers, but 20 inches in X by 12 in Y. The TM1 is 30 in X and 16 in Y.
We added 4 inches.
We added 4 inches in Y.
And so now you can put a 20 pocket on a TM1.
Okay.
All right. You get a little more room for your rotary table too.
Yep. And that was one of the things that occasionally customers would say, man, I wish I had just a little
Right.
bit more Y-axis travel.
Right.
So you've addressed that.
Right.
And then the TM2 here is 40 inches in X, and it's also 16 inches in Y.
Right.
Okay. So that's all the specs we're going to cover, because no one watches a video remembers specs anyway.
Well, and we got rid of the 3. We didn't sell many. It was very
Right.
complicated to make. Had all special parts, and so we decided to go the other way. So
Okay.
yeah.
Good. So, like you said earlier, everything on this is new. Every piece of enclosure, everything is brand new. If you guys want to come in here close, we can take a look at the inside. So one of the things, if you're an existing TM owner, you'll notice that we have a full Z-axis way cover now, covering the ball screw. What other kind of changes did you make to the interior of the machine?
Well, most of the changes, like we talked about, are under the skin.
Right.
The enclosure, it's the same, but it's much simpler for us to make.
Okay.
So it's the same gauge and size and all that, but we got rid of some unnecessary bends, some things that were hard to seal. So yeah, full Z-axis way cover. Since we redesigned it, we could finally fit that in. And this machine has our prototype new auto lube system. So
Yeah, that's what I
everyone
really
knows
wanted to
you
talk
manually grease a Toolroom Mill, but now there'll be an option for an auto lube.
Well, you're supposed to manually grease the Toolroom Mill. It's
Well, there you go.
it's up
How
in
many
the air,
people
how many
grease it?
people
Yeah.
actually do it?
Yeah, easy thing to forget.
So how does the auto lube feature work?
So it's the same lube system as our other machines.
Okay.
The difficulty on a Toolroom Mill is all the trucks are on the saddle. It's hard to get to. Everyone knows we have the cable out to the motor. The same problem is you got to get the lube to the saddle somehow. So we just have a tube that gets it to all 8 trucks on the saddle, and then the Z-axis is hidden inside the cable carrier.
Right.
But it's the same lube system as every other VF.
Okay. But it's the first time we've had an automatic lubricating system on a Toolroom Mill.
That's right. So it'd be the last machine. At
So now
Haas.
they're all automatically lubricated.
Well, it's an option at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And it's a nice looking machine. The enclosure's really clean.
We added the convenience package
Yeah,
as an option.
I guess I should have pointed that out. I'm standing right in front of it. That's an important thing. It's got all the things you'll find like on a VF2 is on this machine as well. You've got your tool holder tray, your table, even your vise, so you're changing tools or changing inserts, wash down hose, air gun, all right there in front for the operator. Okay, we're gonna walk just about 30 feet that way and take a look at the new TM-0, because this is a cool machine. There's a lot of differences on this one. Okay, now we're in front of the TM-0P, and any of you who are familiar with the Toolroom mills will immediately notice that there's only one door. And that's a big change. And when we were out here, what, a month ago? You and I were out here looking at it, and this looked just like the 1 or the 2. It had 2 doors. So what's the deal? Why did we go to a single door?
Well, like I say, we got rid of the 3. It wasn't very popular. It was very big, very hard for us to make. Had weird, unique parts. So when you look at YouTube and see all the cool things people do, a lot of the guys that are posting have it in their garage, their shed. And so small is good. So we decided we should make a smaller Toolroom mill. So that's what we did. And when we built the prototype, the first prototype of the 0, we noticed we had too much room on the side. So it's basically 15 inches shorter than a TM1. That's a lot of room. We also have a prototype chip chute on there that cuts the floor print down even more. You can still put your basket under it, but we're trying to get it so you can squeeze it in a smaller place.
Yeah, obviously space is a huge issue and especially if you're putting it in your garage, which I should mention that all of the Toolroom mills will run on single phase power. We couldn't keep 2 doors and shrink it enough. The doors have been really narrow. So it looks small from the outside, but really when you get in here, it's got 20 inches of X travel and 12 inches of Y. 16Z, so it's got a pretty decent work envelope for such a small footprint. And again, the non-P has no tool changer, but this is the P model. We've got a 10-pocket tool changer in there. Another big thing about all the Toolroom mills, yeah, they're entry-level machines and they run on single-phase power, but you can put a 4th or a 5th axis on any of these machines.
Yeah, when you watch what guys do, that's what they do.
I know, it's crazy.
It's crazy the stuff you can see people doing, and that's the best thing is it's got the same control as every single Haas. So, and the same capabilities for 4th, 5th, anything else. So that's the big thing, I think.
And for a school, this would be because of the entry-level price, and if you want to teach 4th and 5th axis, because there's so much of that out in the industry now, you can get a low-cost machine and you can put an indexer or you can put a rotary on there.
Yeah, the schools are one of the reasons why we went away from the simple enclosures years ago. Just safety. Just enclose the whole thing.
Cool. All right. Well, I appreciate you spending your time. I know you got a bunch of machines to design.
Yeah, they're rolling out.
So check out all the Toolroom mills, TM-0, 1, and 2 on HaasCNC.com, and thanks for watching.